Well, hello, welcome. I'm going to start a new series. This is Prophecy for the Last Hour. My name is Liz McGee. I hope that you will really pay attention to this video series, that you will like, that you will subscribe, and that this will really enlarge and bless your soul. So, shalom, here we go. Well, good morning. I'm Liz McGee, Prophecy for the Last Hour. I'm starting a whole new teaching series. Got to warn everyone, this is going to be very politically incorrect, very controversial, very outside of most people's box. But my hope and aim is for the elect who are ready for the meat of the word, who are ready for all the hidden mysteries to come out. This will begin to put it all together again. So I want to say, what I'm talking about is I'm going to try to ask some questions and answer them biblically, using our texts to try to, from the Hebrew words, understand what is the texts are saying on, as you know I am doing, on a PARDS level, on the levels of where there is remez, where there's hints of deeper mysteries and understandings, and then unlocking those in the sod level of understanding. So this is what I'm about, sod level understandings, the mysteries. Listen to my video series on PARDS 1 and 2, and you'll get the big picture of what I'm saying. This is authentic Jewish understanding. This is how the house of Judah, who has kept the texts in the house, has encrypted or has held on to very important information. So all the generation of the last days can have all this. Now, let me say, I'm going to be talking upon the broad categories called the animal apocalypses. That's a kind of a more technical way. An apocalypse is sort of an encrypted, hidden, coded way of talking about information. Okay, again, so level. And I have I have a blog, I have a lot of videos. Go back, particularly if you want to listen to my video number 72. It's on Enoch and the animal apocalypses. There's a whole series in the middle of the book of Enoch, what they term where Enoch is just constantly talking about history or things that are going, and he's using animals. So to uninitiated mind, you're like, what is the guy talking about? You know, we're people, we're humans. Why is he using animals? All right, this is just a literary device. This is a way, but you cannot dismiss it totally allegorically, because it is teaching truth, realities. All right, so those two things being understood, I want to talk about what does our text tell us about pre-Adamic races of men? Does our Bible really tell us about, or the prehistoric man? Who's Cro-Magnon? There's a lot of these in this, quote unquote, early pre-Adamic civilizations that just about every culture on the planet talks about. Now, come on, logically and critically, is everybody crazy? But do our texts, do we have an authentic, and I'm talking about the Judeo and Christian, even though, right, do we have an authentic record of this? And how is it presented to us? And this is the point. It is so clear when you understand what is being said. So here's a book. Let me just show you. This one is called The Mysterious Origins of Hybrid Man. Now, this goes through all the cultures of the world, and it tells you how they authenticate, document, and explain their histories this way. So there is truth in all this, and it is going to be my goal to try to flush this out. Now, it is nothing to be afraid of. Truth is liberating, and true truth gives glory to Yahweh. That's why he says his glory will fill the all earth, because in the very final analysis, we're all going to see the plan, and we're going to go, oh yeah, I get it now. And it's going to bring Yahweh such glory and favor, and it's going to, the brilliance of his plan of beating his enemy and bringing us all to a place of back to our original state as really spiritual beings. Now, all right, so the animal apocalypses, all right. I'm going to start in Genesis. Now, and I teach a lot from the soul level of understanding, which is kept in a lot of Kabbalistic Zoharic texts in the house of Judah, right? That's a fact. I've just got to say this, if you are afraid of that, if you are teaching against it, if you don't understand and have a holy reverence for this, you are like Paul kicking against the pricks. You're not quite in step with the Ruach today. So I just have to make that disclaimer. I have complete confidence and boldness to say that the believer has the ability to have the mind of Christ, the anointed understanding on all of this material. So as long as you stay holy, as long as you do not practice magic arts, there's nothing wrong with understanding the whole scope of the creation and the created beings who inhabit it. All right? So these animal apocalypses, and again, I told you, the mysterious origins of hybrid man. Hybridization, or mixing of seed lines, or understanding that we have had forbidden mixtures of humanoid species is really coming out today. People, you can't deny it anymore. This is as the texts get open up and people's understanding gets wider and wider to this, and people read more and more and begin to understand, like Enoch and a lot of these texts, what they're really telling us, it's very apparent. All right, but what we have to understand is, okay, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do want to say, just to think logically, all right, animals are used, let me say this last thing, all words and all theologies in terms of the conceptual theology that is in the word, there's many levels of meaning, all right? So there's, it's very polysemous, the word. So yes, there's always a literal level. I am always trying, yes, there are real birds in the sky. I'm not denying them. They're wonderful. I love when they come to my bird feeder. There's definitely fish in the ocean, all right? But we're leaving the literal level behind, people. And we are going into the depths of truth, all right? And we're going to understand now what is being said on deeper levels, all right? But, if you take the Zodiac, all right, which all cultures, even it's called the Mazaroth, Hebraically, this idea that the heavens, which declares and tells the story of Elohim, his march through history, this is the whole point, is done in using animal apocalypses, all right? And it's not an accident. See, the ancients really knew what they were saying. We're the ones who have to recover this. So Zodiac is a zoological, all right, because the original word Zoe, Z-O-E, one of the Hebrew words for life, we get the word zoo, all right? And this is what, and I said, you listen to video 7, Enoch does. He equates the races of mankind to animals, okay? But you can't just think it ends there, sort of an intellectual, allegorical. There is real physical things going on, okay? But if you look at this, the Chinese who have their zodiacal, there's an animal for every month, every zodiacal house, all right? That's not an accident. And they were saying, find out what your animal spirit is. Even in the Western Mazaroth, you have, each house or zodiacal marking, and I can't get into explain this, but people have to understand. I've done so many teachings on this, the dimensions and the levels. There's so many things happening, and you have to equate this, what they do, to the realms that are seen and unseen. And I've always been, like my body, you can see me, and I got flesh and blood, I have bones, I have a voice that is, but inside are all these kind of like sophisticated computer programs that are running, all right? That's called soul life, all right? Now, so going back to the Zodiac, you understand this is what, like that Leo is a lion, and Cancer is a crab, and Virgo is a bear, and Taurus is a bull, and this is not an accident, all right? So enough introduction. Let me tell you the meat of the thing, where we're going, all right? All right. Hebrew is the language of creation. It is the language that Yah has chosen on many levels. I mean, on one level, I've said, it's almost like the DNA bits that are DNA, the DNA that comes together, different combinations to actually make, to produce, to form, to create, to produce, right? The whole concept. But on another level, each word contains many levels of encrypted understanding, all right? And this to me just gives great credence to the brilliancy of our prophets, our sages. There is a brilliant strategy here. This is part of the revelation, how to categorize and contain information within information bits, within other words. And that we know is how the world works. We got physical all the way down to a quantum level. Now, Genesis 1 is called, and Kabbalistically, you have two kind of things that go on, that they're very deep mystical understandings, and they dovetail with each other, is Ezekiel's wheel. This whole thing, these four wheels with these four living beings that he sees in chapters Ezekiel 1 and 2, and the first chapter of Genesis. There's probably so much, if you can crack those two codes, so to speak, then the rest of the Bible kind of really starts to make sense and open up. Those are where so much, the starting points and so much encrypted information is contained. Now, we're going to focus on Genesis 1. Genesis 1, it will tell you when you get down to Genesis, and I believe the last verse of the chapter 1 and the first two verses of chapter 2 will tell you in summation what chapter 1 was. And it will tell you, you look at the words in the Hebrew, that this is the genealogical record of everything that Yahweh Elohim has created, all right? Yahweh Elohim, our Father, creates living, okay, entities. And what he's just told you in this thing is this is the genus, see, this is the progression, the genealogical record, the descendants, so to speak, of everything that Yahweh has made. All right, that's what it's really telling you. We are not on a literal level. He's telling you how he made nice little birds. We're out of kindergarten. We're not going to do Noah's Ark, where I brought the animals in 2 by 2. All right, no. Okay, we're going into a much more mature understanding. Now, there are, if you study this thing out, and this is why I say in the Hebrew, we're going to learn, you're going to have to learn words coded with their strong numbers. It's going to be helpful if you can just immediately go to the Hebrew word in its original form. The translations are so out of order. This would take me forever because I'm like, these translations, you cannot read anything. They have no clue what they're really transmitting. And I don't know that, it's got to be sort of deliberate. I mean, the enemy is in our translations, whatever, keep people confused, keep them in Babel, whatever. It's a great strategy, but we're leaving Babel. So there are these 7, how many do I have? I have 6, 7, 8, 9 strong words that really need to be just brought down to their total literal Hebrew understanding. Starting on day 5. All right, now I'm starting on the creations, or created beings. It's actually the living souls that were started to be created on day 5. 6 days of creation, all right, the 7th day. Adam was made on the 6th day. Now, everybody knows that. Basic Bible, right? In the first, and I'm not going to go there in this chapter, and this is I have touched on this in some teachings, but you have to understand, we are made up of we're a body, a soul, and a spirit. That mirrors the way the whole creation has been made, starting with what is called mind or intelligences or archetypal or just such powerful. I mean, people gotta understand something. Just one thought of Yahweh Elohim creates worlds. I mean, I don't know how you can, even just one thought. I mean, even if Yahweh had one thought, would just blow us all out of the water. All right? That's why it says nobody can really see Elohim at this level and live. For all intents and purposes, right, so what I'm saying is the first couple of days in creation are dealing with what is known as the intelligences, the primordials, the archetypes, it's called the rover's crest. I mean, these are just such powerful primordial. They have words. I have started to unpack this, the water, and this is where it says the upper waters, the lower waters, what this term. So I'm dealing now with sort of what was created in the lower waters. All right, that's sort of where we are. So in the lower waters, okay, on day 5. On day 5 started to pop out what are called living souls. Fundamental, because if you can get these two words straight, the whole Bible starts to really straighten out. Nothing I've said. Now, see, there are a couple of key Hebraic, foundational, theological things you always have to keep in your mind. There are 5 levels of soul life that are talked about in our texts. That's a fact. In the Hebrew, I have teachings on that. You have Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Harya, and Yechida, I believe. All right, because you have 5 worlds, and they correspond in 5 worlds. All right, I've been through a little bit of that. Asiyah. This is beginning to be what is known as things in the world of Asiyah, physicality. Things are beginning to come into manifestation and have form, shape, kind of like the program. Okay, and it starts on day 5, all right? Because this is so important, because these words, the word living, 2416 in your Strongs, is a word che. Now, che is the Aramaic pronunciation, where I think, and I'm pretty correct on this, che is, and we would call it chai, C-H-A-I. When they say l'chaim, it's chai, hey, because it's a het sound. It's a het and a yod. So hey, but it means life. All right, life. Remember I said before, life is the fundamental building block of all of creation. All right, it's not atoms when you get down to it. It's little bits of life, real. This comes from Elohim himself. He is living. He's alive. This living now, this life, is now being paired with a nefesh, a soul. All right, we're out of mind. So you got to understand, because an intelligence and a soul is under the spirit and the soul are different dimensional. The best way I get it, programs. All right. So on day 5, we start having living, high soul, living life paired now with nefesh soul life. Nefesh soul life is like the Windows 10. It is the foundational operating system of all of creation, especially now in the world of Asiyah and Yetzirah. Yetzirah is the world of the soul, and Asiyah is the world of physicality, of matter. There's a lot of, I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. But these 2 words are so foundational to kind of get straight theologically, because they are translated absolutely out of. Nefesh soul life is not ruach. Okay? Nefesh soul life is not neshama, the breath. All right? Adam and I don't want to get ahead of myself, the thing that distinguished this sixth-day creation, the final living soul made, was the Adamite, was Adam, because he had breath, all right? None of these up here had breath. They all had nephesh, the original operating program, and ruach in what degrees, okay? Now, if you studied out on day 5, there are 6, and you can look at these. These are the 6 species, genoses, kinds that were made. And that, so we're going to stick with a word here, and actually it's the word min. Let me put that in your Hebrew. It's min, which means kind, which means species, which is number 4327. And, you know, after Yahweh, what he kept saying, that everything was to reproduce after its kind. All right? Now, the flip side of that coin is that what happened? Did everything and everybody in all of creation obey that Torah mandate? No. So this is why we have the amazing story that we have. Okay? And why it has been such a process for Yahweh to get back to making a new heaven and a new earth where everything is back to its kind. And we'll get back to that. But if you start with day 5, if you start with Genesis 1:20, on the 5th day Yahweh began to make. And the first thing he made was fish. This is the Strong's number 1710. It's the root. Let me see if I can give you some of this. I'm just going to touch on these probably on this video because this is introduction, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start to take these on one by one, and you're going to be amazed. It's going to explain everything.